Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining VR Gamescast. I'm Ian Hamilton in New York, joined by Don Hopper in Missouri as we discuss the latest ways our people are playing in VR headsets. I'm wearing a Quest 3 and we're using David Heaney's UVR Studios with hand tracking and meta avatars. I see Robin's Reality out there in our comments, and we've got Beck out there handling our show. Don, what do we have today?
But Ian, we got another packed show today. We've got obviously the biggest show that we did last week was the Upload Summer Showcase, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that to start us off. Then we're going to kind of go through some of the upcoming games for July, and then we're going to kind of get into a little discussion about a very interesting trailer that dropped this week. And then we're going to close it out with some more of my exploration of VRChat.
Yeah, so that showcase recap is a massive event. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We had more than 50 different developers show up. It gets a little blurry with individual, I guess, 50 different games showing up, right? There was more than 50 titles, and then we had more than we had additional ones we covered in our pre-show.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
had
me
like
coming
like
into the
14,
studio.
15 more. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that's dozens of games out there that people didn't know were out there. It was kind of wild to see the reactions. It was very positive overall. I think some people were a little surprised by how much mixed reality was there, but I can't really say it was a bad thing because every one of the mixed reality ideas was something different. Like there was a lot of there were a couple drumming games. We had, of course, Smash Drums, and then a bunch of rhythm games throughout. But then these mixed reality ideas were just all over the place.
Man, I tell
And
you that they were, and I was really happy to see such a surgence of mixed reality content in the showcase this year or this time around, and I mean, some really interesting looking titles too. I mean, obviously, one that we've all been really excited about is Laser Dance. Really cool how the developer made the 3D rig to capture that footage. The other ones that I really am interested in checking out is Disembodied. That one looked great, using the hand to move around. I also really, I know it was kind of one of the weirder trailers with the people in the bathroom, but does it stack? It just looks fun. And I've been really looking for more of these co-located mixed reality experiences for people like, we do have a couple of Quest 3s in our house. So it'd be something great to play with the wife and the kids on a, rainy Sunday afternoon or something. So
yeah, I loved the humor in the showcase. There were so many devs that were starting to just really own the idea of VR being funny, right? Like it's a
yeah,
silly thing to do. It's silliness at its very core, and a lot of our devs really showed up with silly ideas. And
well, they
I,
did.
lo- email us with tips at uploadvr.com with interesting ideas, weirdness, cool ideas. We had there were a couple scary experiences.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to throw those at you. I'd be curious in our comments, what was your favorite trailer in the showcase? And overall, it was hard because there's people that want only the triple, and I hate using the terminology triple A, right? They expect a certain level of polish and budget and team size for a VR game that, like in their heads, equates to a certain number of hours of gameplay. And I don't think there's a different equation in VR, Don, when the headset and your VR experience takes over everything you see, and you've got no other multitasking apps, at least for the last couple of years. It's starting to change with the latest operating systems, but you go into this place and you lose contact with everyone and everything, even all the items in your house. You can no
Yeah.
longer operate, right? You can't even drink a soda without having to take off the headset in some cases. Well, like the value of a game changes when it's that kind of situation. A couple hours of really, really entertaining, like you're just always doing something different, is more valuable in that sort of situation than like 60 hours or 80 hours of repeating the same action over and over and over again. And it's something that I thought showed a little bit in our showcase, was
I
that
agree.
people are giving you things that you can enjoy 10 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time, and then put down and go pick something else up. And There's so many cool ideas out there,
Well, and then
Robin.
there's such a utility for those bite-sized chunks of VR gaming. I mean, not everybody wants to put on a headset and immerse themselves for hours on end. I mean, my wife is a prime example. She loves to just pop on the headset, slash a couple of blocks, play something really light, and then move on with her day. So definitely. Now, obviously, we had some other, larger non-VR titles. Like one that I'm really excited about because I love shooters is Zero Caliber 2. And another big one for that is the fact that that one has a great single player campaign. So, a lot of times we see shooters, especially in VR, and they're all focused towards multiplayer. They're all battle royale style. They're all that. I kind of miss the old Call of Duty, in the beginning where you had that grandiose story that you were kind of playing along with the game, and that is something that Zero Caliber One did really, really well. They had a fantastic single player campaign, so I can't wait to see the second one. And then one that we covered, that I'm actually going to be covering on the site here soon in our pre-show, that really I've been spending a lot of time in just to relax, is Solara One. And I don't know if you've tried that one yet, Ian, but it is space exploration and relaxation. It is just a phenomenal. You get to explore the space station. There's jungle environments. They just dropped a big update where you now have a jetpack and you can do EVAs and kind of fly around in space. And then they've added a new world that you can go explore. So definitely something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see the range of experiences that are built around space exploration, right?
Hmm.
And space museums, space relaxation, space learning. Like it's there's so many approaches to it, and they're all amazing because what happens is a lot of that content, like all those vessels and all that imagery that comes back from those satellites, they get shared online for free in many
Yep.
cases. So it just becomes public material that ends up being consumed into these apps. And like one of the first things I did on Vision Pro was this very, very simple app that just lets you mess with 3D models of these
Hmm.
various ships. And when you can do it when you can like also get the the idea that you're exploring the universe, looking at new things while just sitting back or being helped to meditate. Like it's amazing to see genres merging in new ways all the time in VR, right? Like I wouldn't
Oh,
imagine
big time.
space travel and meditation being a match made in heaven, but
I
now that
I
I
never
see
would
it,
have
it
until
makes
I played
sense.
this game. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, wow, okay, this was eye opening. It's not all about run and gun or going down to planets and this and that. It's about exploring the beauty of space and kind of finding that inner peace. So while you do it, so
Hello to everyone in our comments. For those that are new here, I'll explain and give the recap of what this is. This is the UVR Studios built by David Heaney. This is custom built in Unity. We're using meta avatars with hand tracking on using a Quest 3 with headphones in to cancel out any feedback that might happen. We've got a TV. We call it Stevie the TV, usually playing
Stevie.
our UVR showcase that just aired. And it just got to the first video of this showcase that was so cool to include. We can see your comments here, so you have any questions, let us know. We can try to answer them. There's also very helpful commenters who have been longtime viewers out there, getting the
Mm.
notifications for lots of our streams and helping out in the comments to help you with any of those first time or VR questions. But feel free to share the link out for anyone that's like curious about what VR gaming is all about. We also have our VR download show where myself and David Heaney come into the studio and we discuss the wider trends. We just did a ridiculous 4 hour mega
4 hour.
episode. He's sweating over there in London, sweating buckets under his headset. Both of our headsets basically thermal throttled. After 3 hours, we had to turn off the headsets and turn it back on again to come back into the studio. We encounter bugs that uh, others have encountered, that devs encounter day in and day out. It gives us a really wild perspective on just how hard it is to do VR development. and we appreciate all of our viewers for joining us on those journeys. But Maestro, right? Okay, have
Oh
you
my
played
gosh.
this demo,
I
Don?
have I it is on my hot list right now after seeing this trailer. I was a band nerd back in the day. I wanted to
Oh,
actually be the drum major. So that would be phenomenal to actually get that feeling of conducting the orchestra and
I mean, it's like
and
it's Beat Saber with actual like
yeah.
it's abstracting even backwards from Saber a little bit into this childhood activity we all did, right? If
Yeah,
you
we
see it
all
on a
did that.
TV, you're gonna go and do it, right? Or yeah, so I can't wait to see that. And then Laser Dance is up. So we stacked the front of the show with the work of Creature. So that's the label from Doug North Cook. If you aren't familiar, he's gathered together some talent internally as a studio, as well as partnering with other devs to try to hone their projects, help them get their work out. And it's a publisher, but they don't call themselves a publisher. Like it's a different sort of relationship. It's
It's kind of a new
uh,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's a new thing. So we're curious to see what comes of Creature and all the things that they're doing. But those are just two games right at the front of our showcase from them that just show you instantaneously that what you do in headsets, the way you play games with headsets, the way you mess around and just play and explore is completely different than 12 buttons or whatever you've got on a standard Xbox or whatever
There's
controller.
no
Like
comparison. I mean,
it's
there is no comparison.
and it's funny, like we've got so many jaded gamers out there that kind of like saw games that didn't give you many reasons to get up and walk around your house. Well, you just saw Laser Dance, and holy crap, you've got a laser maze suddenly inside your house. You've got an obstacle course built for your physical space.
Hmm.
You didn't have that 5 years ago, and all the games that those jaded gamers saw lacked that kind of interactivity. So like it's amazing to see these ideas start
Well,
to really incorporate your space in a way that room scale games even a few years ago didn't.
Well, I think a lot of that is just development cycles. I mean, to the average gamer out there, they don't realize that sometimes these games take years to come to fruition. So I mean, the things that the average gamer was seeing us play in VR a couple of years ago, they had no idea that this kind of stuff was in the works. That this was going on in the background, and it really is a whole. When we started this, say 10 years ago, it wasn't necessarily a whole new medium, but it was for the mainstream gaming folks. I mean, there's always been that underlying VR niche community out there. I mean, ever since the 90s, I've been part of it. But it wasn't until all of a sudden we had major publications starting to write about VR. We had, you know, popular media starting to incorporate it into shows and things like that. That the gamers started going, oh, and then of course the big one, Half-Life Alyx. So
Yeah.
Half-Life Alyx dropped. It was one of the very first ones that traditional gamers were told, you're going to have to buy a VR headset to play this, and they did not like that.
Yeah,
So
it's really wild. You got to come to VR Download to see our broader discussions, and we're gonna have to stay on topic of games here because
yeah, oh
that's
yeah,
what
it's easy
everyone
for
here
us to
is
get off
tuning
track.
in. But it is absolutely a new place that existing platform systems like they're not ready for this type of game. Like it's just we're trying really hard uh, to figure out how to review, point people towards these things, and you're on top of it, Don. Like you are, I've seen it in our comments, people making jokes about how Don Hopper is hopping between worlds. It is
Hopper
literally,
hopping.
it's quite literally what you're doing, and I really appreciate you jumping back and forth between all of these things to figure out just what is worth people's time because
But I think that's
it's
what it's all
not.
about.
Yeah,
It's all about figuring out what is worth their time, what is worth our time. I mean, there are so many avenues that VR is branching off into now. Mixed reality, like we were talking about earlier, stuff like this is exciting me. I mean, and I've been doing VR for a long time, but the mixed reality stuff that we showed in the showcase really, like, I would see the regular trailer, then a mixed reality trailer would come on, and instantly I was like, whoa, what's this? What's this? Why? Wow, that's cool. He's doing that in his own house, and it's like kind of like going back to the layperson discussion. I use my wife as an example a lot, but she's seen me do this for the last 10 years. It wasn't until we started getting into mixed reality that she finally, something in her brain clicked and she just got it.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, well, wow, I could put the headset on and I can see my own room and I don't feel disconnected from the kids and I don't feel disconnected from my reality, but I'm still enjoying this and I'm still seeing these amazing sights, but they're being brought to me. I'm not being brought to them.
Yep. Yep.
So,
That's beautiful. And we are already thinking about the next showcase. I think people have already come to Beck and talked to them. And Beck, just so you know, I can't hear you. I took it out of my ear because I was getting feedback. Um, but the we've already got people coming to us looking for the next showcase, and
yeah.
I want to talk to you, Beck, about some ideas because I just let us know if you've got a new project, if you're heading towards a wish list or demo situation. We always try to look at demos as often as we can before, like, we need to know who a dev is in many instances
Big time.
before we go and spend time on something. And if we, like, so it always helps us if there's a demo to go download from a store and try out the thing. And that's true of the audience as well. So if you're heading toward a wish list or you're doing an early access release, there's a limited number of times that you can, like, get out in front of audience, and we're trying to package together anyone we can to say, oh, that's cool. Could we maybe get up 3 or 4 more of these and put them together into a little thing and showcase all these cool
Hmm.
ideas all at once, because it's a majorly difficult thing to try to get a lot of eyeballs on a VR idea right now. And what I saw in the showcase and in the response to it was a lot of people going, there's a lot of stuff here that wasn't for me, but
Hmm.
there were actually a few things that really, really were. And that's like they're exactly what I want, and I added them to my wish list. And I think
Yeah,
that's something we're going to chase. The
I
idea
agree.
that you could watch this whole showcase and think, there's a lot of things that didn't interest me, but there were 3 things that I added to my watch list to keep an eye on in the future. I think that's a win for us and for the audience and for the devs overall. We just showed Wallace and Gromit there from
Hmm.
Walkabout Mini Golf, and that is the first time that they showed those characters as they were realized in the game for the first time. That was the first time. Before that, they did the Labyrinth characters. I'm sure you've
Yes,
seen Labyrinth, a
I
big fan of that one,
love,
right?
oh, a huge fan.
And
Huge,
so
huge fan.
they've got the Bog of Eternal Stench in there in Walkabout Mini Golf. Fantastic place with great sound effects, and then these characters at the front that resemble the characters from the movie. But then here you get to see these. It's like a whole different level of love for those characters. Wallace and
Yep.
Gromit are embedded in people's brains as these claymation characters. Well, Walkabout had a challenge in trying to adapt them, and they worked very closely with the animation studio to try to get it into VR. And they're showing more of their work to get this whole gadget-filled house. You're going to play through the entire house that you've seen
Yeah.
in all of those animation films, and there's going to be gadgets everywhere, exactly in line with. Oh gosh, they've done themed Mist Island holes.
Oh
They've
God, they've
done.
done so many. And I know they're not on our list today, but shout out to Walkabout and Mike Coconut. I mean, those environments that they are bringing into this simple mini golf game are
Yeah,
stunning. I mean, absolutely stunning. And thank you for saying Labyrinth, because now I can't get the beautiful vocals of David Bowie out of my head. So,
yeah, and it
there.
was heartbreaking. Oh, hold on.
Oh, so Beck wants you to know that she has a 4 foot by 4 foot painting of Labyrinth in her house. So it
Wow.
looks like we're
Well,
all Labyrinth fans here. So
and we're gonna have to show Beck the Labyrinth course then, because I doubt Beck has
yes, we
actually
should.
gone
We
golfing.
should.
But Beck, you can, the whole maze of the Labyrinth is there to explore. You go into the Labyrinth, and on the right is the mini golf course, and on the left is an entire maze for us
Yes,
to go get
it is
lost in.
so
And
cool.
yeah, so and it was, yeah, we're just talking about Wallace and Gromit. Like I can't wait for that course to come out. And then we're showing Thrasher up here. This is coming
Oh
very
gosh.
soon
Okay,
with
I am
cross-platform
super,
release.
super excited for Thrasher.
Yeah.
That is just like, man, I love visuals in VR, like trippy visuals, and you know, Thrasher definitely gonna have that.
Yeah,
So,
that their previous game was Thumper, and that was known for that. And
mhm,
we are waiting to see how Thrasher really feels. And but it's going to be one of the first cross-platform launches, I believe. And then
mm,
we had the Steam date, so they're going to launch on
yeah,
Steam later this year. And I think I'll probably turn off our showcase now because we're at
yeah. I was
about
gonna say, I
the
think real quick though, I did want to shout out because it was here on the just until the 12th. Guys, go grab the Humble Bundle. It is a fantastic lineup for that Humble Bundle, and you can grab that until July 12th. So I guess maybe this is a good time to transition over and start talking about some of the upcoming games this month, since we are
yeah.
in the beginning of a new month.
Yeah, let me look at the comments. Yeah, please share out the link to the showcase for people that are looking for games to play. And we're gonna we'll go. It'll take us a little while, but we'll go through and make sure that there is timestamps for all the different topics, so you don't
Oh,
have to
yes.
listen to us ramble through the stuff that you're not interested in. And our comments here, we're seeing. Let's see. Uh, yeah, Arlen saying I'm a Gen Xer has never watched Labyrinth all the way through. That is heartbreaking. I
Oh,
feel bad for
dude,
you,
Arlen, go
but
watch Labyrinth. You're
yeah.
missing a wonderful film.
Yeah. All right.
And
Let's.
little Labyrinth, because we're all Star Trek fans too. So I got to throw this out there. Little Labyrinth trivia. Do you know who the choreographer was?
I do not.
The choreo No, the choreographer was Gates McFadden. So Dr. Beverly Crusher
What?
was the choreographer for the movie Labyrinth.
Wait, didn't she? Was that the season she quit and went away?
No, that I believe she was pregnant during that season.
Oh,
So, but
yeah.
no, she was. She is actually an accomplished dancer and choreographer, and that's what she did
Wow.
before her time on Star Trek. So,
I always
sorry,
rem-
got a nerd out there for a minute because
Wait,
we're
wait.
talking
All
about
right.
Labyrinth.
So I'm gonna get random Star Trek trivia on this because I know a lot of Star Trek trivia, and I did not know that. So I'm appreciating that I'm as a benefit of doing this show with you.
Yeah,
I
there you
get
go.
random Star Trek facts. That's fantastic. Yeah, so we're speaking specifically to our audience of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, probably
Yeah, that have lived through this entire age of watching what the holodeck become VR
a
headsets, right? We've
reality almost. Yeah, we're
and
getting
that's
close.
well, I mean, that's the silly thing here, right? Is ultimately, when you add mixed reality functionality to a VR headset, you are giving yourself control of your whole house to
Hmm.
turn any room you want into a holodeck. So you can finally live out the dream of put on the headset while you're sitting on the couch or wherever, and then walk into another room, and you could have that designated as a room for X, Y, Z
Oh yeah,
activity, right? Specifically for one of these apps. You could go to your laser obstacle course room, or well, you could go to your Jeff room. I always imagine the Jeff room. I'm waiting for
that
someone
would be awesome.
to take all of like that's my dream is what does Steam look like when it incorporates really truly room scale, when it automatically recognizes some of your environment and gives devs tools to like map out your room against Steam
Yeah,
items that you're familiar with. Like I'm ready to play Portal in really weird ways with my
I
environment.
think once more headsets have depth mapping, and the PC side gets there, what we have with Quest 3, we probably will see some of that. Because I mean, think about the Quest 3 software. When you map your room, you're telling it where doors are, you're telling it where windows are. So you could custom say, okay, this is my Jeff room, and when I walk to this door and open it, I want to see a completely different reality in that
Yeah,
specific room
yeah.
than everything else in my house, and it would be easily done.
Yeah, Jeff. Those that aren't familiar, Half-Life Alex has
Yes.
a terrifying enemy, and his name is Jeff. And that character, that sequence of the game, will have you, hugging walls or hugging your space and backing up against the borders, and you'll back up against the borders of your space. But in most instances, that's like a fake line that you've built
Hmm.
in your floor space. It's different when like laser dance pushes you actually up against your wall to try to slide by a laser, right? And
Right.
that's what we're actually talking about right now, is this difference that's happening with VR developers and mixed reality developers right in front of us. Clayman's comment, I never believed the holodeck would be possible. It was just too far fetched. Love that comment because I feel that in my soul. I know that. And I've talked to people in the industry who have been chasing that from their side, right? Like there's people who are at rendering companies and CEOs that have been working at this for years, who have had this model of, how do I get as close, if I can't have the
Hmm.
holodeck, how do I get as close as I possibly can? And I think that's why we are
So I
here.
think
That's
some of
like,
the earlier experimentations in like cave systems and things like that, where you went into completely square rooms where the floors, the ceilings, the walls, everything were just large screens, and it kind of tried to project that, but it still doesn't give you that sense of depth. It doesn't give you that sense of being there that we even get with VR headsets. And Arlen of the Arc Reactor here has an interesting comment. He says, using my catwalk, which is an omnidirectional treadmill, and a Quest 3, I'm already at Ready Player One level. The next level, a proper Gen 1 holodeck, can't be too far away. So, got competing things there. I mean, obviously, the idea of the holodeck is that you're not having to use omnidirectional treadmills and things like that. I recently just got a catwalk myself. It's cool. I'm still getting used to it. Walking, not 100% one to one for me, so I don't know that I would consider it to be, Ready Player One level yet. Something like maybe the Infinideck that they show in that movie might be a little bit closer to that. And I know this is kind of getting on a rabbit hole we're going down, stuff that you'd probably cover on download. But did you see the floor tiles that Disney showed a couple of months
yeah.
ago on Twitter?
Yeah, and if I could find the video, I have a couple videos at
Yeah.
AWE of some really interesting looking shoes,
Oh, the shoes. Yes.
and like I was I was checking it out with them, and I'm like, have you tested it on people of my weight class? And they're like,
Hmm.
No, we haven't. We have not actually tested the shoes on anyone, yeah, of your weight class yet. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't try out your
Yeah.
shoes. But it looked like they had these people walking in place going like this, and it looked it looked like they felt like they were moving forward,
Hmm.
but their shoes weren't really going anywhere.
But
But it's funny,
anyway,
like I don't want those things with the slippy feet. I don't like, it doesn't, I don't know how we're gonna
it
get
it
there.
doesn't it I don't know. I really think, and well, I think we kind of talked about this a couple of shows ago. I mean, redirected walking, things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
All right,
think
let's talk
we
about.
kind of got a little off track. So let's talk about some of the games that are coming out in July.
So they said they hadn't tested it on anybody above 220, and
Oh,
I am right
220.
above
Oh, well,
220.
I'm like 260, 250.
Yeah, and so I'm like, yeah, and they didn't seem to think it would be a problem, but yeah, I'll see if I can find that video on a future like Gamescast, because I didn't like, they actually reached out to offer us more info, and if we can find more info, I will try to get to it. It's just, these things are typically kickstarted, and when you
Hmm.
go the Kickstarter route, our recommendation is
Do
to,
not.
yeah, don't do a Kickstarter, right? You're pledging money to a cause that may never deliver anything to you. And so like these like one of a kind solutions that are trying to approach getting you to be able to walk through Skyrim physically, uh we check them out when we can, but they're very hard to recommend to actually try. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about upcoming games for July. So Henry just did an article outlining everything that we know about coming out in July. Again, let us know at tips@uploadvr.com if there's something else that we need to know about, or something we don't really talk about here that you would like to know more about. But Don, why don't you talk about these games that we've
Yeah,
got
no,
coming up in July?
absolutely. Yeah. So, a couple of the ones that really stood out to me from Henry's article was, obviously, he starts the article with Archery Red, which is something, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea this was even coming. but it looks to be like kind of like we saw, with Cold VR a couple of months ago, another pseudo super hot clone. So it's like, are we finally, after all these years, starting to see, the resurgence of these clones of super hot? Because I've never really seen a lot of games that kind of tried to clone that mechanic. So this is super hot, but with like crossbows. So
Yeah, it looks interesting. Yeah, and it's funny to see multiple super hot sort of riffs lately. It's you can argue almost everything in the VR space took a note off of super hot because it was so early and so transformative. I remember being at I remember one of the first demos at one of the E3 conferences where it was like I was sitting over here talking to the early Oculus executives and they're like, oh yeah, we actually have one over here for you to check out. And you
mhm.
sit down with it and you lean around a little bit and that's when time moves, right?
Yeah,
And you got, you had to, I think you had to use a controller in your hand at the time, but uh, it's wild to think that that lesson, right, of time moving when you move is still being toyed with in every kind of way, right? People are
yeah.
thinking of the reverse of that, of now we're going to throw bow and arrow at it and can't wait to see all of the things to come. But right, it's even in our showcase that we just showed, we had Mark Schramm is one of the people who is involved, I believe it's Mark Schramm, who was involved in Superhot VR as an engineer, and then he's also working at Creature, I believe, and helping them work on their engineering. And so you can see like this flow of talent and ideas into all these different places in VR.
Mhm.
What else we got, Don?
Well, I mean, obviously, one that we've already talked about several times. I think we both are just in love with this game. Is he's Henry is bringing up that we will see finally a full release of the Infinite Inside this month from Maze Theory, and that was one of when I first started here at Upload. That was one of the first things that I ever featured, and it was something that I just kind of ran across over on App Lab as a demo, and it didn't seem like it was getting a lot of attention. But I played this, and it was breathtaking. It was stunning the way that Maze Theory has crafted this world, this silent narrative that unfolds around you, and literally, it brings it not only into your own world through mixed reality, but does these beautiful seamless transitions from mixed reality into a virtual reality space where you're actually solving puzzles in virtual reality and then bringing those pieces back to mixed reality to put the puzzle together and then move on to the next thing. And just having these stunningly detailed graphics like this appear in your room. This was one of the first mixed reality experiences that I kind of had an oh wow moment. It's like I had seen some experimentation, and well, I mean, okay, I take that back. The Quest 3 demo, that you do, the very first one where the aliens land and you shoot out the wall. That was a wow moment. But this was the first non-demo-ish thing that I had played, and it just something about it took me, and I'm really excited. We're working on getting it set up, but we are actually going to be doing an interview with Maze Theory here in the studio on an upcoming Gamescast. So be on the lookout for that to talk a little bit more about Infinite Inside. But Infinite Inside is releasing on July 12th, I believe, and it is releasing on all platforms, even Vision Pro.
Yeah, I'm
So
really interested to see the differences there or the similarities as it is between those two platforms because it would be a rare cross launch and one of the first of its kind to see there. But Maze Theory has done a lot of other interesting work, but this is one of the ones where I've seen them kind of embrace just something really new when it comes to platform capabilities and then just see if they could execute. I'm looking at D1360's comment here, and they're talking about the virtual desktop Chrome key feature, which lets you remove certain colors from your
okay,
environment or from your
that's
background.
interesting.
And Don Hopper is on the case here, messing with stuff. And honestly, that feature, we've got Geek Odin, the creator of Virtual Desktop, often in our comments over on our VR download showcase. Always cool to talk with him. But that feature we are watching very closely, and Don
Hmm.
is diving into because the various ways you can knock out backgrounds in various pieces of software makes for just a wildly new landscape. You could potentially, I don't know,
Oh,
what was that?
no, I was gonna say it's amazing what you can do with it. I mean, I really wish I kind of shared a little clip of some testing that I was doing in our internal chats, and I wish we had that to show. But watching an IMAX movie, okay, so I have like all these old IMAX DVDs, like not even Blu-rays, like DVDs from back in the day. And I took my DVD burner a long time ago and I ripped those into SBS movies that I could play in my headsets. And seeing the IMAX intro flying through your own space and not in a screen was transformative. It was just so cool. Seeing just the 3D effect became so much more. I mean, the depth just looked deeper. And I mean, because I was seeing it coming through my own space. Now, is watching a movie like that perfect in that mode? No, no, it's not. But one of the ones that I had is the IMAX Hubble. It's the older IMAX Hubble DVD that I had ripped, and when it gets to the point where it's actually showing the fixed after they fixed Hubble and it's showing the beautiful imagery, these nebulas were literally floating in my living room, and it was just a breathtaking experience. Now, unlike mixed reality, can you get up and walk around through them? No, you're still kind of looking at a 3D image on a 2D plane that you can kind of wrap around you, so you can get the effect of it being
But
in the room, but you're not going to actually be able to get up and kind of move through it as they like a volumetric video or something like that.
yeah, so and what I had seen, what I think I had seen, and please, someone forgive me if I'm mixing up different efforts here, but what I had seen is someone had like a 3DS or a 2DS, I think it was a 3DS
Oh yeah,
capture
yeah, yeah.
card, and it was capturing the output of an actual cartridge being played on a handheld Nintendo game system, and it was using that same transparency like blockout feature to give you the handheld that you're
Hmm.
holding in your hand virtually at a higher resolution and better picture
That is
than
wild.
you could get in your physical hand. And it's wild to think of this stuff in real time happening right around us with people just by the bucket load getting their content into VR in different unexpected ways, right? I don't think this is on our plan today, but Tim Sweeney is out
Oh
there,
yes.
the founder or CEO of Epic Games, one of the most vocal people in the community, waged war in court against Google and Apple over restrictive rules that charged him a lot of money for Fortnite, uh, and he wanted more of that money for himself so he could have his own business models and his own stores and stuff for Epic Games, right? Well, he's coming out there and saying that Fortnite just, until a lot of people can play Fortnite and have it be comfortable, VR isn't that interesting to us. And this is, of course, the company that made Robo Recall back before Fortnite became
Hmm.
an overnight, not an overnight sensation, a major global phenomenon. And I've cornered him at conferences before to ask him the similar question of what's going on here, and he would make comments like, "We're going to be there for AR. We believe AR is going to be the big thing long term." And it's kind of heartbreaking to think of this whole ecosystem that is just not interested in it. But
Exactly.
it's 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 complicated. It's more complicated than that. UEVR. There's a tool that people can go and install and turn on VR functionality in an entire swath of content. And the only people that are going to go do that are people who by by them going and doing that, they're demonstrating some level of technical knowledge and that they might have to have a good strong stomach to enjoy what they're about to do, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're that technically, if you're going to go install the mods and get UEVR up and running, you should know at that point that that's more than the comfortable cozy things that some of our commenters are talking about. But
Yeah.
again, that's a huge amount of content out there that's running in VR today, and you wouldn't even, like, you could argue that we should go back and review Doom 3 as a VR game. I think that's a completely
Oh,
valid argument that,
I'd love to do that. I mean, that is like one of my favorite. I think I mentioned this last week. That is one of my favorite mods, and the fact that it is one of the oldest VR mods out there from Team Beef, or one of the older ones, and the fact that it is continuously being updated today. That just recently, within the last 6 months, they've added dynamic shadows to this game. I mean, you've literally got dynamic shadows, and you want to talk about scaring you when you start seeing shadows out of your periphery and over your shoulder. And I mean, and mix that with the atmosphere and the sounds, and I mean, it really just is another layer of believability in the game. And the fact that they once again, as we've always talked about, the fact that these developers are doing this with these sometimes 20 and 30-year-old games,
yeah.
and making them come to new life in virtual reality is just mind blowing to me.
Well,
And
I, I
it
will.
does show. I'm sorry, it does show the testament to what you were just talking about. So hey, Tim Sweeney, listen up. We have people building tools to play your games in VR, man.
Yeah.
So just bring them to VR.
And
Because like the early demos, Unreal, the early Unreal Showdown. Do you remember the Showdown demo? That was
mm-hmm.
freaking nuts. So it can be done. They have the power to do it. I just really wish more developers would finally just realize that VR is not a fad and it's not going anywhere. It is here to stay. So start embracing the medium.
Yeah, I specifically, so to build on that, I
Sorry, I ran over.
specifically tweeted at Tim Sweeney to try to bring his attention to the work of Team Beef,
Hmm.
Dr. Beef, specifically a couple videos that they've put out in recent months showing Tomb Raider being played in the same way you could go and play
Hmm.
uh, an old car game where you press the triangle button 3 times and you go to different camera angles on the car. You start in the cockpit, you go to third person. You can do that same thing with VR. You
Yep.
saw it in Minecraft years ago, and it's sad to see all this old knowledge lost. But there are games which you can be fully immersive, press a button, and it becomes a flat screen on the other side of the screen. And we've had to see community developers build this functionality back into games to get us there. Um, and yeah, little Scampy's comment here. To be fair, free mods are allowed to be janky and not run perfectly. If it's an official port and runs bad, you get the GTA remake drama. Ooh, bringing
Okay.
up GTA, right? So
Yeah.
GTA, this wasn't on our lineup, but we got it to cover it because it's gotten mentioned. GTA San Andreas made the circle of news, right?
It did.
People are like, what is going on here after a
Out of the blue.
random customer support response gave an indication of hope. You're going to have to hear from Rockstar whether this game is going to happen in VR or not. It is not, by all accounts, it's not going to come from Meta, and whatever customer service people who haven't been informed what's going on, like, that's not going to help you. You're going to have to hear from Rockstar at this point, the creators of the Grand Theft Auto games,
Hmm.
whether they're going to deliver San Andreas in any kind of time frame on Quest. We've tried ourselves to get to the bottom of that, and if you have any information, let us know. Tips at uploadvr.com. But a game of that scale, where you are flying through that many different areas of a town at 90 miles an hour in a car, and then pressing a button to get out of the car and walk around, right? It's a very, very difficult problem. It's the same problem that Rec Room in some cases kind of has, right? How do you have expansive worlds? It's Population One is doing the same thing. How do you have a game that does everything Grand Theft Auto does or Fortnite does, but it does it as comfortably in a VR headset as outside of it? And to Tim Sweeney's point, he's saying that they don't have the solution yet. However, I've seen various experts out there like John Carmack and
Hmm.
I'm going to call Team Beef an expert in the space,
No, I'm going
show
to
us a
as well.
path where you can actually make this really comfortable for a really large number of people, and you don't have to restrict them. You can give them options to let them get their tunneling so that you've got a little window that's this big when you move, or make your tunneling like this so that what you see is wide because it's really comfortable for you to walk around in VR. It's just, if Tim, like, I think we see this thing that's happening in the industry where the people who are selling headsets aren't necessarily playing games.
I
Like,
agree.
they're like the executives who are making those decisions over at Meta, are they really invested in there being a great 60, 80-hour game? Are they themselves putting in those 60, 80 hours into a game to experience it for themselves? Like, if they're not, why are they paying for those games to get made? Like, this is the situation we're in. And on this show and in our communities and in our audience, we are seeing young VR developers who grew up in headsets starting to, like, they started messing around with VRChat worlds, and they're
Mhm.
moving on to becoming game developers, and
Well,
they're becoming more skilled, and they're starting up little early access programs. And it's those things are some of the things we're showing in our showcases. Like, those are the really interesting ideas for the future of this medium. It's beautiful to
well,
see.
and I think kind of going back to that just real quick, I'm gonna butcher your name, my friend. I swear to God, Dwayne Dame. He's saying that people want San Andreas in VR, but once you get on a bike or a motorcycle, it's a quick trip to Puke Town. And I think that that is still the one thing that is holding a lot of these larger development studios from getting on board is we still haven't fully nailed down VR sickness.
Well,
And if they can't mass produce that and sell millions of copies without getting refunds because people get sick, it it's not going to entice them to move forward with those projects.
so Crispy's comment, I think Little Scamp was referring to the GTA remaster fiasco, and I understood that. Yes, what I'm referring to is what I would bet is, and I could be completely bogus here, completely wrong, is you've got the largest or one of the largest video game companies in the world. They make one or two games and release them for a decade or more, and
Mm-hmm.
they print money, right, for billions of dollars, and they screwed up with that remaster fiasco. They did the remaster fiasco, and they realized as it was coming out, this was not what we would call rock star material. This is not what we want to do. And I would believe that what had to happen was a very tense conversation between the leadership at Meta and the leadership at Rockstar. And if I imagine it would go something like this: we will get you Grand Theft Auto San Andreas when we are ready to.
Yeah.
And that could be Quest 4, 5, 6, or 7. And like, it could be Quest 3, maybe. Like, I don't know, but it the time scales here are such that you don't like you need Rockstar to come back, right? You can't, like, sue them over something like this. You don't make enemies of the largest video game company on the planet. You need them to still make their
Exactly.
game for your headset somewhere down the line, or some game for your headset down the line. So it's sort of like, just, we'll wait, right? And so we will hear from Rockstar when Rockstar is ready to tell us that they are able to solve that problem. They've done it in the past. Like, they've done it in the past. They've done magic with their software platform. They've got incredible
Oh,
R&D
it's
resources. Gosh,
fantastic.
if you go play what is it? The LA Noir. If you go play
Oh
LA
yeah,
Noir and
I
look
love
at
that
those
game.
facial captures and try to pick up on little ticks that someone is making to prove to you that they're lying, like, that was magic on the most ridiculous hardware back in the day. They can do it again in VR. It's just,
They
I
could.
think you're going to have
They
to give them
just
more patience.
they do. And or hey, here's something. Wait for it. Hey, all these people that are making these really kick-ass VR mods, hire them. They've already
Yeah.
done most of the work for you.
We have had, yeah, we've had Simon, the Dr. Dr. Beef.
Yeah.
We've had him in the
Mhm.
studio, and we've discussed a little bit of that with him. I think
We're not even
there's
hiring, work with them. I mean, it's just work with them.
yeah. So we've got VR Studios, or we've got Flat to VR. Can't wait to see what Flat to VR finally comes out with
Oh, big
after
time.
all this time.
I
We
was
should
gonna say, I
talk
think
about
they're real quick. I think they're gonna be showing their very first actual game at Gamescom.
yeah. So Gamescom is where we should expect Batman, Arkham Shadow
Hmm.
details, lots of things. We should expect a massive, massive showing at Gamescom. It's just the timing is lining up that Gamescom is the right time this time to pitch your game and get it fresh in
Big
people's
time.
heads right before Meta does its Connect event, shows off all the new features that are coming to Meta headsets, as well as whatever else they do.
Right.
Skyclimb and Brazen Blaze, do we need to cover those before moving on?
We can. I mean, just real quickly. I mean, I thought Skyclimb, it's coming out this month, and I interviewed the developers at GDC, and they were really awesome. I really liked what they were trying to do here. They're huge Mario fans, so they're trying to kind of bring some of that Mario magic into VR, but they wanted to do it in a new way. They didn't want to just try to do a traditional platformer, so they kind of started looking at the movement mechanics and what would make it unique. And this is going to be another one of those pull yourself through the world kind of things. But you're high in the sky. You're it's almost kind of gives you that sense of flying, but it's a platformer. It's just a interesting concept there from them. And then obviously Brazen Blaze. I mean that just looks incredible. I mean it is. I mean we definitely can never go wrong with a competitive VR action game. You know, especially when you throw in destructible environments and cross-platform multiplayer. I mean, you can definitely see some Smash Bros, in there, and lots of game modes. I mean, 3v3, 1v1, team deathmatch. I mean, so I cannot wait to play this game. Nope, Ian went quiet.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Nope, there we
Chrome
go.
Colossus's comment here. I didn't, it's funny, I didn't even think of this when I mentioned LA Noir, but there was, LA Noir was absolutely in VR. They made the effort
Yes,
of
it was.
putting
Yes,
LA Noir in VR. I was referring entirely to the
to
flat
the
screen
2D, to
version.
the flat screen version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I forgot that they actually did make all that effort to put that in VR. And yeah, that's a large landscape and it's PC platform. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually, if Rockstar can't get San Andreas on your headset, uh maybe maybe there's a lot of gamers who are right and not being interested, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe that's the unfortunate reality is that Quest 2 or maybe Quest 3 aren't enough to drive that. I don't know.
Maybe a Quest
But
4 launch title or something. I don't know.
yeah, we'll see. So we'll see as time goes on. We'll be on top of the latest there as soon as they commit to it. It's one of those things where yeah, like they're not going to say anything else on it until it's confirmed by personally by Mark Zuckerberg and the CEO of Rockstar that it runs decently.
It'll
All
be
right,
here when it gets here. So,
a lot of comments. Arlen talking about Brazen Blaze. Dunadim. What is the
Dunadim, that's what
Tolkien?
it
What
was.
is that? What is that reference? Explain us what your name means in whatever language it is,
Yeah.
so that we can
Elvin?
understand and honor your references
Yeah, I know it's
correctly.
from Lord of the Rings now, and I apologize for butchering the name, but Elvin, maybe? I don't know.
Elvish.
Gotta
All right.
brush up on my Lord of the
Unfortunately, we
Rings.
have to talk about Attack on Titan Unbreakable's trailer,
Oh,
and so
ooh.
we gotta get into this one next. So this one just debuted today. Let's throw up this image,
Yeah.
which um all right. So if you haven't seen this trailer, uh I I think we're just gonna stand on this like quickly because I'm not I don't want to make the fandom I don't want to like talk down to the fandom. Like this is a
No,
game,
no,
this is
not
a
at all.
fandom, this is
No, this is a
yeah.
huge, huge thing. So,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean, but the
huge.
trailer, I'm sitting there slapping my head, going, "What's up?"
So it's wild. So in this trailer, it's showing the melee combat for Attack
Hmm.
on Titan VR, and you're shown basically flinging yourself around these environments with these giants making really creepy faces at you and being buck naked.
Yeah, they're
So
nude. Yeah.
they are walking around these villages with their butts hanging out, and you are a very small dude trying to fling around them
It's almost
and
like
it's going.
Wendland style. You're like latching onto them and swinging around these naked. Clay's got a great guy. He's like, I'm good with not seeing giant naked men coming at me.
Yeah, I mean, so what's interesting, I'm curious what Gorn feels like at this scale, right?
Yeah.
Like you've got even in this little key art image here, they're showing some of the like undercarriage of these creatures that you're
Mm,
going to expose by hacking away at them with your swords. And it's just bizarre
it
in a
was
way
bizarre.
that we're going to see like, and I put out this jokey tweet on it, but like I'm not actually going to like I think this might actually be a hit
Oh, I
with
think it will
certain
be.
audiences that want to have a silly time hacking away at giants like this. Like this is by all indications the last three things that I've seen having 10 look, I Am Cat and Titan's Clinic
Hmm.
are the silliest sandboxes you can possibly imagine. And they're both earning tens of thousands of
Oh,
downloads in
okay.
immediate time frames. This looks like a giant sandbox
It
of
does.
a completely different type.
I think it's going to be. I mean, the gameplay looked fun. I love any game that gets me swinging, like anything that has that Windlands type swinging Spider-Man type mechanics. And you could definitely see some of that in the trailer where they're latching on, pulling themselves up to do dismembering moves and things like that.
See, See, this is a good example. Like this is how VR would be completely different than like a show. If you can assume that everyone in our audience has multitasking. Imagine we have an audience of 30 people out, right? And they're all focused on us and the conversation here. And then we talk about something like this, right?
Hmm.
And I'm seeing Crispy in our comment saying, I'm going to have to go watch the trailer now. So I'm imagining there's a bunch of people out there silently
Their
going
trailer's
in a
about to like
second
blow up.
window, pulling up
Yeah.
this trailer and just being like, just like I was when you guys
Hmm.
showed it to me, just like, what?
Yeah, we
What?
made the conscious
What?
decision not to show the trailer, just in case. But do watch it. I mean, it's interesting. It
Well,
definitely it was. It's not what you're thinking when you see this and you
no,
see the
yeah.
trailer.
So I think we're
So,
ready to move on from Attack
oh
on
yeah,
Titan, right? So
yeah, big
I've
time.
seen a little bit of this anime, and I'm really curious to watch more of it. But I'm also curious to see what it's going to feel like to be Spider-Manning around these giants as well. And we haven't gone on hands
I'm just
on, but
appreciative
it's
that they're Barbie naked. That's all I say. So,
well, wait for the mods, right? Like
yeah. Well, this
that's
is true. This is true. The
this could be
modders will do
the
their
great
thing.
the game to mod come 2025 and
Oh, I have a
2026.
feeling
Yeah.
this is going to blow up on like TikTok or like people are
No,
going to be
that's
putting out funny videos of this.
yeah,
And
no,
yeah,
that's what's that is what this next phase is. If you've got
it's very memeable.
sandboxes, yep. All right, let's move on.
So, all right, moving on.
Uh, let's talk about your exploration of VR chat.
Let's
So,
do that.
um, we have sent you to go explore what is interesting and unexpected in the spaces of VR chat. Now, this means you're not sort of, looking at the fact that VR chat just laid off 30% of their
No.
employees. We reported on that, and it's a very real fact of their business that they just readjusted everything uh, to try to be a different company, I suppose, going forward. We do that as like Ultraleap just had major layoffs, and
Oh
it
yeah.
seems like a lot of companies are trying to position themselves just right for this next phase of computing, which is brutal for a lot of the people that have been at that at those companies for a very long time. Uh, However, and that also means you're not really reporting on the community of VR chat. We haven't really had you go look at what does it mean
Right.
to spend thousands of hours in VR chat yet.
Yeah,
We
so
haven't
far
really
just the
looked at that.
worlds, just focusing on some of the featured worlds, and we kind of put out a I put out a tweet. I know you tagged on the official channel tagged on. So please, if you follow us anywhere, send us your VR chat worlds, tips at uploadvr.com. You can always find me over on Twitter. I won't call it X. And send us those because I am loving my time. I took a huge break from VR chat. I'm not gonna lie. I was back in the beginning days. It was great. I even have a world in there. Go look for it. It's really horrible. But being able to explore what we're seeing in there now is transformative, and we're really starting to see these fully thought out creations of these worlds. And we explored three really good ones last week, and this week we're going to go a little deeper down that rabbit hole. So this week, let's go ahead and start with the first one there. Let's go Cosmoria, because we've talked a lot about space and VR today. I am a huge space nerd. I always have. I grew up in Texas. One of our annual trips every summer was to Johnson Space Center, standing in the rocket cone of the Apollo 11, of the Apollo rocket was just fantastic. Seeing the actual space shuttle right there in front of you was just crazy. Not everybody gets those experiences. So again, come VR. Here we go. You can actually see all of that and more in something like this. And I tell you what, it's really, really detailed. It's really, really educational and informative. And as you see here, I mean, the graphics are stunning. You have really, oh, well, I'm sorry, Beck, we're seeing it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I can see
so,
it.
yeah, we have it. So, oh, weird. Oh, it's not coming through on the stream.
Huh.
Oh, sorry, guys.
So it's not coming through on the stream, but we can see it here in the studio. So we're motioning to a blank screen, I guess.
Okay, so there's a space shuttle, and there's yeah. Oh, I wonder if you still have that. Okay. Well, either way, it's a beautifully detailed, beautifully rendered, just fantastic space museum. You actually get to walk around through the International Space Station at full size. There are all of these different, rockets laid out in their stages that you can see. I don't know if we have it up now, but it is just a phenomenal experience. And if you are in VR chat, this is definitely one of the worlds that I spent the most time in this week, and I highly encourage you to check this one out. Cosmoria Museum of Space. And we will have timestamps once this rebroadcast. I'm going to put links for all of these worlds in those timestamps as well, so you can just quickly jump to them. And then of course I did release the next article in our series this morning that also has those links in it as well, for you to be able to experience these worlds for yourself. I think next up, is one that we both loved, and that was Ocarina of Time 3D.
Yeah, so I'm sorry if we're not able to show them on the images right now. I guess there's some kind of glitch, but if they come up, well, good. But go check out the article. It's right on uploadvr.com, right at the homepage right now, and we'll put the link. We'll put the links down. But these worlds, Don, like they're on PC VR chat, right? I want to be really clear that you hooked up a
these
PC.
higher end worlds are PC based VR chat. So I mean, I know you can do VR chat in your Quest 3. Not all worlds work in that headset natively on the standalone mode. Obviously, hopefully you guys are seeing it on the screen. If not, I can tell you these are really high resolution. They're going to be quite demanding. Now I'm running this on a RTX 4090, 13900K, and 64 gigs of RAM. So, obviously we're not going to have that kind of horsepower under the hood of a Quest 3. So some of these that you will need to either use Link, hook your Quest 2 or Quest 3 to your PC, and you can experience them, or you'll need to have a gaming PC and a PC VR headset for that.
Yeah, so it's sounding like our audience can't look at these. I'm wondering if I can. Let me try to activate the video from inside here and see if it makes any difference.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah. But again, if you can't see them here, just jump over to uploadvr.com, look for my article today, and you'll see all of the video clips that we were going to show on the show today in the article.
And we'll have a link down in the comments when we do this timestamp so that if you want to look at those videos, you can just click on that link and go straight to that article immediately. And just to
Using my imagination looks fuzzy to me. I love that, Crispy.
Crispy.
Imagination.
That's
That
great.
reminds me of that South Park
So to
episode.
recap for the people that weren't able to see us, right? Cosmoria is basically a space museum wherever your VR headset and PC are, right? You can take your kids to a space museum without having to go to a major city, right? Like if you imagine going to Los Angeles or New York, right? You might want to stop off at whatever their local space museum is. That's
Wait,
what
wait,
Cosmoria
hold on.
pretty much is, right?
Can we see that?
That should come up. I think the images are probably coming up just fine. So
Okay,
let
well,
us
at least we
know.
got a still here. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of Cosmoria where you get to walk into one of the main halls and see the Discovery at life size there. So very
Yeah.
cool.
And then the second one, Ocarina of Time, right? It's going to be deeply nostalgic. Don covered this really well to feel the original music or feel those melodies that you
Oh
felt in your
gosh.
childhood come back around you, and you just look around and you're in the old little village in the
Seeing that
forest, or then you're
world,
going around. Yeah.
yeah, seeing that world at like full life scale and being able to now obviously you're not playing the game, so anybody jumping in there, it's not Zelda Ocarina of Time and VRChat. For that, there are ways you can do that through emulation, but it is the entire, or not the entire. It's like a lot of the world just recreated, and just walking out of the Kokurai Forest into Hyrule Field was just stunning. It was just like whoa, and then the music comes up, and it's just like all that nostalgia bubbles up, but you're seeing it through your own eyes, and it just made me smile from ear to ear. I couldn't stop that smile.
And then I was the last one here, the drivable steam train. I was picturing you as like a PBS host,
Mm-hmm.
and going through this old documentary footage of let's go see what the old steam trains were like.
Yeah,
And
that
is
kind
that what it
of.
feels like?
Well, to me, it was more like I was channeling my inner Sheldon Cooper, you know, so his love of trains, but yeah, it was interesting. It's a pretty detailed recreation of a steam train, pretty simple controls, but it does give you that kind of old nostalgic, way back feel that you're kind of on this steam train and you're just driving through these countrysides and towns. So if you are a train aficionado, I highly recommend hit up the link in the article and check out Drivable Steam Train.
Yeah, so we're building up a little network there. There's, of course, the three links that we just discussed. You can go directly to those worlds from Don's story. And then we have the three
Mhm.
previous ones from his previous venture in there. And then next up, we are looking at three
Yeah,
more for next time
I'm
very soon, right?
super excited for next week's segment because you guys know, or those of you who know me over the years or hear from Upload, I am a huge VR space game junkie. I mean, I can't get enough of Elite Dangerous and stuff like that. And one of the worlds that was recommended to me and I checked out, I literally have been jumping into every day just to play. It's gamified and it's called Far Citizen Elite Mining. Now, kind of funny play on words, Far Citizen, Star Citizen, and then Elite Dangerous, Elite Mining. So, but you start out in a space station, you get to like go to this mining craft, you fly it out, you warp to these asteroid fields, you're mining these asteroids, but it is just stunning looking. So definitely look for that. We've got the Fortress of Oku's Point next week as well, which is a really cool fortress that you can explore. Lots of little mysteries around every corner. And then Pixel Paradise Arcade. That has been, ever since the old days of like new retro arcade, back even like pre-consumer, we had the new retro arcade on Steam. I've loved that feeling of being able to walk into a highly detailed late 80s, early 90s style arcade in VR and just exist there because it is like a slice of my childhood coming back.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have those next week, and we're getting into the rhythm here, so we will be probably upping the volume so you start seeing more of these worlds more often. And we'll again, as of course, tips at uploadvr.com, whether you've got a
Keep them
fully
coming.
developed game, early access, you're going to wish list, have something to show us that gives us a sense of what it's like to go into that world, and then give a path to us. Let us know what your path is to get people into those worlds, other people, whether you're going to do, I don't know, an early access or even an invite only release with friends for a while. If your idea is interesting enough, we sometimes look at things that early in
Yeah.
development. But with VRChat worlds, right, these are public places already. We want to know about them that are really, really interesting. You've got the email down there in our comments. I want to say thank you to Robin and Beck for all their work
Always.
out there. And Beck put together an amazing showcase for us. And if you want to talk to us about the next showcase or talk to us about any work that you're doing, you've got that email down there. And then you can, of course, reach out to Beck directly to discuss marketing opportunities as well. But as far as our editorial team is concerned, about myself, Don Hopper, we've got Henry Stockdale out there, as well as David Heaney, and a bunch of freelancers working with us now to try to cover everything that is happening that is interesting in the VR and AR space. And it is wild to consider just what that means. That is everything. We have waited years for this. We've watched it building slowly. But, you know, everything from your job at Walmart, training inside of a headset, to, you know, military tools, to personal relationship tools, to gaming, to everything in between. It's all possible with the VR headset. And we are at the cusp of AR glasses taking off, and we are covering all of it here on UploadVR.com. Thank you so much to Don Hopper for jumping through all of those worlds over these last couple weeks. We are going to be all over everything at Gamescom. We've got Henry Stockdale heading out there to see what is the latest,
Huge
and
show.
we are building towards the MetaQuest 3S launching.
Yay.
That's the expected name in the very near future of a lower cost headset that will have the same power, is our expectations, as the Quest 3. That is going to mean near the end of this year, the people in our audience that watch us each week are going to be experts on the VR and AR landscape, and you're going to help all those new people understand what they're going to download, what they're going to want to visit. And we thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the future.
See ya.
Next Tuesday for
Tuesday.
this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gamescast is now Tuesdays. VR download is Thursdays. So Gamescast Tuesday, VR download Thursday, and then just a tease. Maybe next week starting, we're thinking about maybe starting to do some game streaming on Fridays.
Yeah. We've got some
So
real cool ideas Don and I are working on, and I really like Arlen's comment. It's super cool that Upload is covering VRChat worlds. Is there an interest in doing a grand metaverse tour of all the different metaverse platforms? Banter, Rift XR, Horizon,
maybe
Rec Room, etc. We're also looking even at is it Resonite, or did they change their name
Resonite.
to
Yeah.
something else? But the NeoS follow-up program, right? There is a lot of creativity happening out there in a lot of different places. We're probably, I think, going to look at VRChat for a little while here because there's just so much to mine in
Oh,
that
so
area.
much.
But we are going to look in the other places as well. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the future.